Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora.
And I'm Dee.
And we're coming to you today in regards to everything
entertainment.
Yeah. So I'm going to start first this week, and I'm going to start with a thriller called Knox Goes Away. I don't know who's heard of this. Knox, Knox, goes away. It is something that is on Max. That's where I watched it. And it involves one of my favorite actors, Mr. Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I have seen the
preview for it or trailer?
Not the trailer, but just the what is that called? The art for it?
Oh, the art for it.
It's in black and white, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yep, just his face on there. Knox Goes Away. So it has Michael Keaton as John Knox. His son is played by James Marsden, who actually, he plays Miles Knox. And he was somebody who, you know his face. I'll just put it that way. Actually, what was that called? What was that TV show that had Christina Applegate in it most recently? Dead to Me. He was the one who was the two characters. So that guy, you remember? He was like the one in the pool and the one who was dating. Okay, anyway. So you have Al Pacino in here. Little cameos of Al Pacino as Xavier Crane. You have Knox's best friend, who is Ray McKinnon. And then you have his wife as Marcia Gray Harden, which everybody knows Marcia Gray Harden, I feel like. Yeah, so she plays Ruby Knox, so that's his ex-wife. And then there's another host of characters. But I really enjoyed this. It was an easy watch. And Knox Goes Away basically is about a hitman. And so Michael Keaton's character is a hitman. So John, he goes around and he and his friend Munchie, they basically are preparing for a hit. He is telling him, look, we're going to go on this hit, but I got to go out of town first. And they're like, look, dude, you can't really be going out of town. Like, there's a job that needs to be done. So then he's like, yes, I understand that. However, I got to take care of this, right? So he doesn't tell Munchie what he needed to go out of town for. But basically, you find out that he's getting a brain scan done because he has a very fast-forming degenerative Alzheimer's. So you're a hitman with Alzheimer's, basically, is the scenario here. So based on that, he finds out that he only has a few weeks left to live. And based on that, he's like, look, I got to make sure that everything goes well with this hit because that's it. I'm out. Like, I can't continue to do this because he loses blocks of time. So he'll be doing something, everything seems okay. And then the next thing you know, he's like, why is it nighttime? Why am I sitting here outside in the woods? Where am I? Where's my car? Like, all of those things are happening. So if he has scenarios like that with a gun and he's a hitman, bad things can happen. Well, one thing leads to another and some things go south in regards to a hit that he had to take out because he just, wasn't in his right mind. And so basically he realizes, look, I got to get out of this business. I'm going to cash everything out. And of course, people who know a hitman don't want the hitman to be out. Like, normally they come after hit people. They don't let you get out, right? And so basically he's like, I'm trying to get out of this in the best way I can. So who can I trust? And that's where he feels as though he can trust Xavier, who is Al Pacino's character. And he says, hey, I need you to cash in any paintings, any gold bars, anything that I've ever stolen that I've been keeping and running, holding for myself. I'm going to need to cash that stuff out so that way I can go ahead and get away. And Al Pacino's character is like, dude, I'm a thief. Why are you going to trust me? And so he's like, well, I want to trust you because you're my friend. Like, and I know you won't steal from me. And Al Pacino's like, well, I'm a thief. So I could, steal from you. So anyway, what ends up happening is the whole show is about Knox Goes Away. So in a way, it's like a play on words because it's Knox goes away as in him trying to get away and out of the business. But his brain and his memory is going away too. Yeah. So that's kind of another piece to it. So then you have where as he's trying to just sort through everything and figure everything out as he's finishing up some things, all of a sudden someone shows up at his house covered in blood. And they're like, I need your help. I need you to help me dispose of a body. Now, will Knox remember where he disposed the body? Will Knox remember where he put the knife? Will he remember where he put the bloody clothes? Will he remember anything? at all about helping somebody dispose a body, right? And so that's the other kind of layer to all of this, is that as he is going through and trying to figure out himself in his own life, he's also trying to help this person that he cares about dispose of a situation so they don't have to go to prison. And everything starts to unfold where you're just wondering, okay, is Knox a mad genius or is he just mad? Because you really can't figure out why he's doing some of the things that he's doing and the way in which he is doing it. And so he basically, it's so many different layers, so many moving parts. But long story short, I personally thought that it was a great movie. I feel as though, his degenerative disease, it starts, you can see it's happening quick. You can just see that, like, where he was when he first, and I'm clicking my fingers if you're hearing that noise in the background,
yeah, right.
but if you're hearing him saying something and, seeing him at the beginning of the show versus the end of the show, which is only a few weeks, you're picking up on a lot of what's going on. And then you have this investigator who's looking into all these different things, like, oh, the situation that went bad, they're looking into that. Oh, the situation where somebody ends up dead, they're looking into that, where the person bloody comes to Knox. So does all of this point their finger to Knox? And would Knox even remember if he had did it? So it's like all of these different layers to it, and almost to the point that he's a killer, but at the same time, you kind of feel a little sorry for him because you know that he's dealing with this disease and trying to deal with it in the best way.
Losing his memories.
Yeah, that he can. So, let's see here. So basically, that's kind of what it's all about. I really enjoyed it. I think it's from 2013. I don't think it came out this year, but I just feel like I started seeing the previews and information on it
last year, 2023.
2023. I'm sorry. Did I say 13? Oh my
yeah.
gosh, 2023. I just saw the 3 in my mind, but maybe I'm like Knox and I need to work on something.
Let's not claim that.
So we're not going to claim that. We're not going to claim that.
Take it back in.
Take it back. I take it back. I take it back. Yeah. So, but no, I was just like, wait, what did I say? Okay. Yeah. But in 2023, it came out, but I just feel like I started seeing the trailers and information for it of late, but it does go into some information about dementia, Alzheimer's, all the challenges that come along with that, but also all the challenges that come along with that when you are a hitman. So that is, it's got some layers.
It sounds good because it's like, you're a hitman and you gonna say, do you know where the body is?
Right.
Do you not know where the body is?
Do you know where the weapon is that you hid?
Yeah,
did you even hide it?
Yeah,
did you throw it away, or did you do something else with it?
Is it just in your house and you're about to get busted?
Right. Exactly.
Because they found out that you're a hitman.
Right. And it's just like, what in the world? So it's one scene where they had him driving up to like this cabin that they had sold. So you're like, is he driving to this cabin that they sold thinking he still owns it?
Yeah, or is he going there because that might be where the body or the weapon is?
Well, and then he goes inside, and then you realize that he lifts a floorboard, and he finds something there that he knew was there from before. So you're like, is he in his right mind? Is he in his old mind? Because you don't know. Because
they say that sundown time is a real thing when it comes to like dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Once the sun starts to set, your brain
starts
like,
to
I'm tired. I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah.
And then we'll just keep replaying this same thing over and over.
And then that kind of scenario happened where all of a sudden he's walking out of the cabin, right? And then he walks out into the woods to do something, but then he gets confused. And he's like, why am I out in the woods? Where am I at? What's going on? And then all of a sudden they show him in his nighttime and he's still in the woods, like sitting on a rock. And it's like, he's waking up like.
So you don't even know what happens. It just flashes right to it.
It just flashes to him just sitting there like, why am I here? Right. Why am I here? What is going on? And then finally he just walks to a road and that person ends up like saying, is there anybody we can call? Yeah. And then they end up calling the Al Pacino character, and Al Pacino finally gets him home. But it's like he was so out of it that he didn't know. And he didn't tell the Al Pacino character for a while, like Xavier. And then finally he ended up telling him, like, look, dude, I got to get out because of this. And if people know that this is what I have going on, they'll definitely try to come after me and kill me because they don't even know that they can trust. Like, I'm forgetting things, but what if I forget that I'm not supposed to tell people certain things?
What if I forget who my mark is?
Right.
And now I'll go up to somebody and be like, hey, we're having a conversation. And they're like, you're here to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
So now
and he does have a situation that happens where he accidentally killed somebody. So it's a lot of moving parts with that. But anyway, so that is something to definitely check out. Like I said, I saw it on Max, and it is Knox Goes Away. All right. So what do you have, sis?
All right. So what I have is Funky Fridays with Cam Newton. It is his podcast.
Fridays with Cam Newton. Okay, got it.
So Cam Newton has a podcast. You know, Cam Newton is
football player.
Former football player,
because he's not playing anymore, right?
No. Yeah, so he's the former quarterback of the North Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
And now he has a podcast.
Okay.
And his podcast is pretty good.
That's what people do. Yeah. Okay.
Never paid attention to his podcast. Then saw a couple of clips, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to watch this.
He's a different guy. Yeah, a little eccentric.
He's eccentric, but he's what is it? Unapologetically himself. So
yes.
I love that.
That's important.
But he did sit down and talk to Kirk Franklin.
Ah, okay.
So Kirk Franklin touches on a couple of different bases. He talks about his relationship with different family members. But so it starts off with them just talking about, hey man, look, you put this documentary out on YouTube called Father's Day, and you're talking about how
you talked about that.
You're now finding out who your father is. So now he meets this man who was his father. I talked about it before, and the father is like a retired man, very well off, good to go, like, you know, with a wife and kids and everything. So that beginning of it was amazing. So, you know, Kirk Franklin talks about that, but then he talks about the downside of it, where he goes to his mother and he was like, Mom, like, I'm trying to tell you, Deborah, that this is my father. This is what DNA says. And she's like, no, there's no way possible.
Because she's just can't admit that she actually
that she was
been
doing
with
her
him.
thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, but the DNA don't lie. Like, there's no way possible that you can tell me that this is not my father. Like we swabbed cheeks, sent it off, and got it back. It's not an inside thing. It's like we sent it off somewhere and we got it back, and that's how we found out this is my father. So he touches a little bit bases on that. Then he starts talking about his relationship with his father. He says relationship with his father is okay. You know, they're still working on it because he's just finding out. I guess it was last year or the year before. You know who his father was.
Right. He
touches on the relationship with his. With his son. His son is also in the documentary Father's Day.
Okay.
And he talks about how him and his son have had a very tumultuous relationship.
Okay.
And that when his son
was that covered in the documentary?
Yeah, it's in the documentary as well. But when his son actually tells him how he feels and they start to work on some things, I don't think their relationship is still as good as it could be. But he was like, "Look, I was a baby having a baby."
Yeah. Makes sense.
And he was like, we just, I tried to do what I could, but I can't. And then, so Kirk Franklin was like, I didn't know what to do. So then I did what I thought was best. And this is what happened. Mm-hmm. He talks about his sister, who he has with Deborah.
Okay.
And he was like, she's so smart. She's so beautiful. She's so talented. He was like, but she does have problems with depression and with drugs.
Okay.
So with that being said, he basically is like, I want to do an intervention. It's like, I don't know my sister, but I want to know her. I know she's a great person. So I want to do an intervention. Deborah is is our mother. I get my aunts and everything all together so we can go ahead and do this. Mm-hmm. They do it. Deborah shows up with her new boyfriend, husband, whatever. And from there.
This is all talked about in the podcast?
In the podcast. Yeah, it's like a 2-hour podcast.
Okay.
So from there, he just talks about how he was explaining, like, this is what we're coming together for, Deborah. And, this is what we need to do. And he said one of his aunts says, this is how family should be.
Okay. And
he was just like, yeah, but this is about Deborah, not just family in general. He's like, because y'all are not my family. I don't know y'all. Mm. I was raised by a 60-something-year-old lady. Like, y'all are not actually my family. He was like, so this is just, I actually care for this person. I see she's a beautiful person, so I want to put this together so we can go ahead and help her. And then he said that his mother, Deborah, her new man was like, you should call your mother sometime. And then from there, all hell broke loose.
Oh, wow. In the church family.
Yeah,
well,
right.
in his family.
Yeah, but it was just the back and forth between them, and he hated it, and he was just like, this doesn't make any sense. He was like, we are here for Deborah. It has nothing to do, we are here for my sister. It has nothing to do with Deborah.
Right.
The phone works two ways. She is the mother. If she wants to talk to her children, she can call her children. Yeah. There's not a reason for us to call her when she gave us up. If she wants to have a relationship with us, she needs to reach out to us. We should not have to reach out to her because we don't know if she wants a relationship with us.
Right. She gave us
up. We are literally telling her, hey, we want to know who you are. We want to get to know you. This is what we want. And she's just not having it. So he said that he was out signing autographs somewhere or did a concert somewhere, and some people came up to him and was like, hey, just want to let you know you're we think that you're a very strong man. We think that everything that you've gone through is a lot, and we think that our father, he was like, your father? Yes, because our father is our birth father is who your mom is with right now. And he is not a good man. And he has done this, and that. And it was like, we just want to let you know that we don't agree with him at all, but we can tell that you're a good man and that you're trying and you're reaching out and you're doing things in a positive note, not looking for clout. You're doing things because that's something that's put on your heart to go ahead and do. So he was like, how is it that I'll go somewhere random to do a concert, and the people who come up for like the little meet and greet
family
are well, they're not really family, but it's like they
family by relationship.
Yeah. Like my mama's boo, this is their kids.
Yeah.
So he definitely talks about that. He talks about him and his mother's relationship, and how he said he hasn't talked to his mother since I think it was the Father's Day or like a week after the Father's Day
thing.
Yeah, and he actually says that the conversation about why he stopped talking to his mother and everything, that is the first time that he talked about it was actually on Cam Newton's podcast.
Oh, wow.
So he definitely deep dives into that. He also talks about how Christians will look at him as God, like a godly figure. Yeah. Like, you can't do no wrong.
But he's not even a pastor.
And this is what he said. He said, do you know my story? He said, did you know that I had already had a child out of wedlock when I was messing around with another woman, and the church was telling me, hey, this girl that you dating, that's not the one for you, but this is the woman that you should be dating. He said, and that's my wife right now. He was like, she had kids out of wedlock. I had kids out of wedlock. And when we got together, we took each other's kids in. He was like, but we didn't really know each other when we first started talking.
Wow, it was like an arranged marriage.
It was like that, but he said that once we started like talking and
telling
dating,
their stories,
then he was like, we just matched.
Wow.
He was like, and Tammy is the strongest person ever. He was like, she puts up with me. She puts up with all the drama that I have with my family and everything. He was like, there's no woman that I would love more. So he talks about how people put him on a pedestal thinking that he's supposed to be like God. And he's like, but I'm just human.
Right, exactly.
He was like, I struggle every day to strive to be God-like.
Yeah. But once you sing Christian music, they put the staple on you that you might as well be a pastor of a church yourself, and that you're held to that same standard, which I don't think they should hold pastors to that standard, but that's another.
Absolutely not, because my thing is, everybody's human.
Right, and people fall short of the grace of God every day.
You have nuns and priests and everything that take a oath to God saying, I am not going to do this. But what do? They still slide and do it. And it's always going to happen because people are human.
People are human and God is God.
Exactly.
Yeah. And God gave us all free will. So people are going to have free will to do what they want to do. And those people who judge are the same ones who got their own dirt.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely, because those are the ones who are like, they're probably buying their lottery tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking their alcohol, smoking their cigarettes.
Drinking their wine and doing whatever. But I'm just saying that. And eating their shellfish, which is in the Bible.
I was about to say, eating their shellfish.
And their swine.
Like wearing mixed wool, mixed fabric. All of this is in Leviticus. You can look it up, okay? This is a sin. You are laying with your wife while she has her Aunt Flo here visiting her. That is also a sin. You can't do that. So it's like, so you want to pick and choose different things. No, you can't do that. So therefore, Kirk Franklin was like, look, I am human. I will cuss out my son when he pisses me off.
Right, but then somebody will record that, and then be like, "Oh, Kirk Franklin cursing? He ain't supposed to curse."
But he was like,
he's a singer.
But his whole thing was like,
and he ain't even a singer.
Yeah,
he's a talker. He does not sing on his song.
He's just a maestro.
He is a maestro.
He's a maestro.
Yeah.
He puts the music together and he puts the words
says,
together.
These are the people who going to be in the chorus. You done made the cut. You in the song, in the chorus. You going to sing the lead. And I'm just going to say, everybody say.
I know. And the people say, yeah, he said, stomp. You know? But then he also go ahead and talks about how with him doing the music and everything, how it actually, he can be on stage with anyone and no one is ever going to not. He said that gospel music actually makes it to where everybody will like the music. Even if they don't like you, they'll like your music. He said, but I'm not going to have any drama. I'm not going to have any hard things when it comes to gospel music. I'm not going to have a slew of people getting up and leaving because they like my songs. They might want to hear, was it Rain Down on Me?
Yeah.
The melodies from heaven.
And he's singing Shine.
But right now I'm singing Shine.
Smile.
They don't. Smile. Yeah, but I don't want to hear Smile. But I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah, because I'm waiting.
Because I'm waiting for my one song. I don't like all his songs, but I want that one song. He's like, so he said the most that Christians will do. He's like, if they don't like me, they don't rock with me. He said they'll sit down. Everybody who rocks with me stands up, clapping and everything. He was like, but that doesn't hurt me. He was like, it's not like every other industry when it comes to music where you have different genres. Where the R&B is going to have, you have R&B beef. You're going to have like Mariah Carey and let's say Mary J. Blige or something like that. Yeah, somebody.
She like, I don't know her. Who are we
yeah, exactly. Some kind of beef like that. You're going to have rappers beef. You're going to have all this other kind of stuff. He was like,
gospel, you can't have beef.
Yeah, he's like,
because y'all are supposed to be godly.
But it's not even that they're supposed to be godly. It's like, bro, like you making music, I'm making music. We want to collab? Yeah. We can make a double feature album and we can both eat. Like it's they are like we don't have it to where we have the drama and the beef. Okay. So therefore he was like, I can get on stage with Snoop Dogg. And people will clap. If they don't like Snoop Dogg, they'll still see me up there.
And if they don't like me, then they like
Snoop Dogg up there. So then let's go.
But that boy that was at the Olympics.
And then Cam Newton was saying how he said your music has literally changed the entire genre of gospel music.
True.
For the millennials on up, because before the only thing that you had that was the most, I guess, R&B-ish music was the Clark sisters. And they went through so much.
Yeah, because Mary was after him too, right?
Yeah. So he was, because like he was like
the Clark sisters, and maybe even the Staple. No, that wasn't it. Never mind. That wasn't. But that wasn't even. That wasn't even Staple Singers, but they weren't gospel.
Yeah, they were R&B. Yeah. So he was just saying like, it's that we are working together towards one genuine cause of praising God. He was like, I want it to be that Jesus is the hero. Everybody knows Jesus. He said that is my one job.
Okay.
He's like, so I want everybody to know this. He said, and I want everybody to know I strive to be like godly.
Yeah.
He said, but I'm still human, so therefore, I will still curse somebody out.
Yeah.
I'll backslide. I'll do this. I'll do that. He was like, but I'm still working on it.
Yeah. As everybody is.
Exactly. So it's like, his whole thing is don't hold me to a higher accountability than everybody else.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. He's like, because I just make music.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I just make music.
But there's so many people that judged him for the music he was making because of the fact that initially it was like, oh, that sounds secular. Yeah, that's secular not gospel music.
Yeah, but then you get all the youth that are in it. So he talks about how he plays at he played somewhere and there were people come up to him and be like, yo. No, he talks about when he first met Cam Newton.
Okay.
And he said that they were in an elevator. He was like, Kirk Franklin was like, you had some fans eager to hang out with you in your hotel room. Quite a few of them. He said, and as they were showing you their appreciation of what you do, he was like, you looked at me and said, oh, you're Kirk Franklin. And he said, yes. He said, yeah, young man, it's nice to meet you. He's like, you doing your thing on the football field and everything. And he said, you just went into, you know what? I never liked gospel music until I started hearing you. And then Stomp was my thing and blah, blah, blah. He said, you sung about 4 songs as we were going up this elevator. He said, and that meant so much to me that I've reached a young man who is starting his career being a football player, that I could possibly have the music to change his life.
Yeah, exactly. Because as he has all these women wanting to go to his hotel room.
The fans. That's what they call it.
Oh, fans.
His fans.
Not women. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess he was like, I don't know what's going on with your marital life or anything. So I'm gonna say you had eager fans.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's very good. It is a podcast. You can catch it on all platforms. It is called Funky Fridays with Cam Newton.
Okay.
He has a lot of different people on there. I do really like it. I'm just now starting to get into it with this one podcast, but I'm going to deep dive into it and listen to all of his stuff that he has because I love this.
So is it along the lines of like a Club Shay Shay or along the lines of a Drink Champs like kind of scenario? Like what does it feel like?
I feel like they're the both. The only difference is Drink Champs
drinking
is
or not.
drinking.
Well, but I mean Shay Shay, it is just him. As
Yeah.
opposed to Drink Champs, it's two people kind of on the mic.
I mean, so the question.
The Breakfast Club is even more.
Yeah, but the Breakfast Club is a radio station. But.
Yeah, but they kind of release it as a podcast too.
They did release it as a podcast, but it's still all radio. When you listen to their podcast, it still sounds like the radio
station. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Like sometimes you might get a clip of part of a commercial and it goes silent, and then it goes
like,
to a commercial of like Flo talking or something, whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say it's kind of like a Club Shay Shay because it's a 1-on-1.
Okay.
Nobody else is in the room. Whoever's recording, and that's it. Where Drink Champs has two people,
producers, it's everybody.
But then also with Drink Champs, this is more of a. We want you to be as relaxed as possible, and then whatever you want to talk about is what you want to talk about.
Right, that you'll regret later.
This Cam Newton one is like, all right, look, we're gonna get to the nitty gritty.
Okay.
So let's talk about this.
Drink Champs will specific questions.
Yeah, because Drink Champs will sprinkle some nitty gritty and then get to some other stuff that's goofy.
Yeah.
Tell me a story about when you met Prince, Michael Jackson, like that. But then they'll be like, all right, so tell me how you got this RICO case.
Yeah. So they'll break it in there.
So they break it in there. But yeah, I would say that it's more of a Club Shay Shay type feel, but I do like it. Okay. It's not a lot going on. Sometimes Drink Champs has a lot going on, a lot of sounds and everything. Sometimes we're like, I gotta pee, so we gotta take a break. So
got it.
But all in all, it is nice.
And they're all hours and hours. I don't even know how they end those shows because it's like it just keeps going and going and going. So it's like they don't have a set number of hours.
Yeah, they don't have a set time. They just have a. It's basically, hey, you know what, Lenore, you're coming to do my podcast.
Yeah.
How much time do we have with you?
Okay, you got 2.5 hours.
All right, so we'll cut it down in 2, and then you can go ahead and talk about whatever.
Gotcha.
So it gives you half an hour to come in, relax, half an hour,
get
like
a drink before the podcast.
Exactly, like things like that.
Okay.
So
I got it.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Like I said, it is Funky Fridays with Cam Newton.
Anywhere you can
one
find
finger,
podcasts.
one pinky, one thumb, one love. Get it?
Is that one
finger?
Yeah, I get
one
it.
pinky, one thumb, one love.
Yeah, the I love you symbol with your hand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what Cam Newton's opening and closing thing is. I like it. It's cute.
Okay.
It's cute.
All right.
But that's what I had. So what do you have next, sis?
I have Bad Monkey on Apple TV.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so it's only like...
I watched part of it. I didn't finish it.
Oh, okay. It's a few... it's only like 2 episodes in because they're releasing weekly. I didn't know that.
I guess I only watched the one.
I didn't know that, so I was like anticipating like a nice binge. No. But it's good. I like it. I don't know what your thoughts were of it, but anyway, it has Vince Vaughn as Andrew Yancey, so he's in there. He's a detective or on sabbatical detective who's been put on administrative leave for something that he did. Yeah. You have Natalie Martinez. She's on there as Rosa. She's like so he's in Key West, and Rosa is a coroner who is in Miami. You have Michelle Monaghan. She plays Bonnie Witt. She plays like Vince Vaughn's mistress, I guess, girlfriend who is married. That's the easiest way to describe that. You have Eve Stripling's character is played by Meredith Hanger, and she is the wife of somebody who had passed away, who needs to go to the coroner and all those kind of things. And her daughter and stepdaughter is Charlotte Lawrence, played by Charlotte Lawrence plays Caitlin. And then you get into a whole other series of things. But also, I will say Vince Vaughn's best friend is John Ortiz, who plays Rogelio.
As you're talking about this, I realized that I was thinking of
a different show.
Monkey Man, not Bad Monkey.
Oh no, Bad Monkey.
I'm thinking of a movie.
No, this is Bad Monkey. So this is like a
which reminds me
drama comedy. Okay. And so basically it starts off with a guy just going fishing out in the Key West. And he's somebody who, when you think about it, you know, you get on those boats and you could catch marlin out there. You could catch, you know, hammerheads. You could catch a little bit of anything, which you could probably frame and all those kind of things, right? So the guy, you know, they set him up. They buy him all this equipment. He's got all this equipment. He's fishing. And lo and behold, what does he pull up? An arm. Oh. Not only an arm, it's like the forearm of a person, hairy, black hair, big forearm. So you think it's a pretty, like an older person, probably a little overweight, but also their middle finger is sticking up and they still have their wedding ring on. So it's like, okay, that's interesting. And they're like,
that sounds like the opening to a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, maybe. And so you're like, how in the world did this happen? So anyway, long story short, Vince Vaughn's best friend comes and he's just like, or Yancey, that's a character's name, best friend comes. And he's like, hey, we got a case for you. And he's like, how do you have a case for me? I'm on suspension. I can't get a case. So it's not for me. And they're like, well, the chief wants you to do this. And he's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then there's a narrator whose voice walks you through everything. And he just talks like this. And he just says,
who's the narrator?
I have no idea. I didn't pay attention, but it said, but you know, his best friend
it's
knows
not that like all Sam, whatever.
No, I don't think so. But it's like, all he has to do is wait a few moments and Yancey's going to come around. Okay. And then the next thing you know, here's Yancey like, all right, what do you have in your trunk? Like, let me go ahead and see what you have. So long story short, they look, and in the cooler, there is this arm with the middle finger sticking up. And they're like, how did that even happen? And they're like, oh, it just naturally happened with rigor mortis. And you're like, I don't know if a middle finger automatically goes up with rigor mortis. I don't know. So then they're like, the chief wants you to look into this and to take it to Miami because we don't want this kind of smoke in the Keys. We are hoping that this has to do something with some drug operation or deal that goes bad in Miami. And then the Keys can still be that nice, safe place that people can come to for their vacation. Okay. So make it a Miami case. You take it, Yancey, to Miami. So Yancey takes this finger to Miami. Now, mind you, by the time he gets to the coroner's office in Miami, popsicles are in there with the man's hand. Oh, okay. And he's just grabbing popsicles and eating them. But then the coroner is like, oh, I'll see you and I'll raise you. And she grabbed one too and started eating it right out of there. Yeah. And she's like, I don't really care.
It's in a package. It's fine.
Now, this is the same coroner that when she saw a cute top on a dead body, she wore it out that night. So, like, she said, I washed it first. Because her sister was like, that's a cute top. That's nice. And she was like, yeah. She was like, was it that when I FaceTime you a top that was on a dead person? And she was like, I washed it.
I feel like that is a crime.
I don't know.
Isn't it theft? I feel like that's theft.
Guessing.
Is it breaking and entering if you're doing an autopsy?
I don't know if you are taking a I mean, maybe she's going to give it back. I don't know. But I guess if it doesn't have evidence on there, maybe it's okay. I have no idea. So anyway, what ends up happening is that in the process of Yancey, who is told, you know, take this to Miami. Well, long story short, Miami doesn't want the smoke either. They're trying to figure out, was it that a shark bit off the arm, right? Because if a shark bit off the arm, it's no murder,
but
right?
If a shark bit off the arm, I feel like it would be in the shark's mouth.
Well, but it could have just snapped like part of the arm and then the other part is the body and it's like floating one direction and the arm is floating another direction. So long story short, what ends up happening is that they realize that there is a watch that is missing from the arm and you can see from the shading of the tan and all of that stuff, they're like, okay, what's going on? They also talk to the wife of the person. Well, let me go back and say they figured out whose arm it was because a woman did claim that her husband went on a fishing expedition and he went missing. And so in the process from that, you know, they're thinking that this is the same person. So they do the testing. Lo and behold, yes, it is her husband's arm. So then Yancey is like, well, let me meet with the wife so that she can identify the arm because the wife is wanting to have a ceremony for the husband. I think to claim him as officially dead because who knows? Maybe there's some life insurance involved. You never know, right? So anyway, so she wants to claim him as dead. And then in the process of that, you also meet the daughter of the man who potentially has died. And she's very like, I don't know what you want to call her. Not necessarily goth, I'm sorry, but she's somebody who just takes life very dramatically. Let's just say that. And she is very much like, she killed my father. I already know she killed my father. You need to research this, Yancey. You need to look into it. And Yancey's like, slow down. Wait a minute. I don't know if I can say that she literally killed your father. I think that she is somebody who, is just dealing with the pain of all of this, just like everybody else. So anyway, you then find out Yancey has got a lot going on. All of these things are pretty much, like I said, the first 2 episodes. So I'm not giving out too many spoilers, and I've actually saved some of the good stuff from what I've shared. But you do have where Yancey is having an affair, like I said, with a married woman. So his girlfriend and him, they get together from time to time. You know that he got suspended because of the fact that there is a lawsuit against him from the husband of his girlfriend. And so the husband, come to find out, he ends up, while the husband's on a golf cart near the water, this guy, Yancey, goes in his car and hits the golf cart. And the guy's like, oh, hold up, man. Like, I'm here. Like, don't hit the golf cart with your car. Well, Yancey proceeds to slam his gas pedal down and pushes the man into the ocean in the golf cart. And so the guy is saying he's had undue mental stress, and this is somebody who was cheating on my wife with me, and blah, 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 on me with my wife, and yada, yada. So he wanted his badge. He wanted him kicked off of the squad. He wanted all these things, and he has the lawsuit against him. So Yancey's dealing with that as he's dealing with his suspension, as he's still messing around with the wife. And I'm like, dude, you've already lost so much. Why are you still dealing with this woman? But I digress. Then he's researching this case, which his boss told him not to research the case, but to just take the arm, take it to Miami, have them run the show. Lo and behold, Miami was like, we don't want the show. It is not necessarily a arm that we know for sure came from Miami. So based on that, we are going to send it back to Key West. Oh, and so in the process,
Miami fight.
Right. So in the process of that, the Miami sheriff just says, get rid of it. We don't want that smoke. Just get rid of it. There's some gators. Just get rid of the arm completely. We're going to act like we don't even have it. And so that doesn't actually work out as well either. So long story short, the wife, the widow, gets the arm. She does the ceremony, but then they're starting to realize weird things like, why is the ring not on the finger anymore? Like, it was a platinum ring that the finger had, but when they had the ceremony, it was just like a $2 chuck kind of ring. So what's going on, and is she responsible for this? And then it takes a whole other turn before the end of the first episode, because you also have some Key West folks that sound like they're maybe from Jamaica, I'm not sure, or Haiti. Okay. But they're in Key West hanging out and doing things, and this person's home is being destroyed. And you have this whole other story that involves the monkey, which is where the bad monkey comes from. So you're like going down this whole other path with, Vince Vaughn. And then you realize, there's this whole African, themed storyline as well of voodoo and witch doctors and a monkey and a home that was destroyed and all of this different stuff. And you're like, how are these two worlds going to collide? And lo and behold, the witch doctor lady, I don't know, I think she's just a witch. Anyway, she's trying to bring those two worlds together. So you can hear her like, I'm putting this potion in place so that way the guy who can help, because the guy's name is Neville, the African guy whose home was being destroyed. Because because of some developer coming in. And so she's like, Neville needs to connect with a different person. He thinks he wants me to take care of this guy on his behalf, because Neville's he's pretty much like, look, I'm paying you to take care of that guy. Do your witchy witch. If he dies, he dies. Let the Lord's will be done. I don't care, but I just know that I don't want him taking my family land in the house and leveling it and all this kind of stuff. But she's like, you need to get connected with another person. So while Neville's in one restaurant, you see that Vince Vaughn walks into the same restaurant. So their worlds are starting to kind of orbit each other, but you don't know if it's going to how it's going to connect.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really interesting. Like I said, it's only been 2 episodes so
it just
far.
came out. Yeah.
But it is so kind of cool to just see how they're pulling everything together. It had me doing some literal laugh out loud moments. Which, you know, I don't laugh at comedies like talking about it. And it just had, it's good dialogue and storyline. And, you know, Vince Vaughn always has that dry humor anyway, which I do love a good dry humor show. And he just says quick-witted things like, is a passing thought, and then it goes on to something else. But if you're not catching on to it, you're not going to pick up on it. And those are the things that crack me up. So I'm just like, oh my God, did he just say that? And so anyway, but I've been enjoying it. Yeah, it's like it's been good to me, in my opinion. But it has a lot of layers. So you have the ex-wife or the widow layer, you have the girlfriend layer. Oh, then the girlfriend is like, I wish all this time that we were together, you knew my real name. And he's like, he said, I'm already confused enough with women. Why do you have to give me a fake name? Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, so she's got a fake name. So there's a storyline there. There's a storyline with the widow. There's a storyline in regards to Neville and his whole situation. Vince Vaughn has his own storyline. You're trying to figure out, like, all these different moving parts and people who are in the play. Oh, and Evan Schnook, who's been on Saturday Night Live, he's on there as the next door neighbor that the two of them can't stand each other. So he's had a dead raccoon in his house. He's put bees in his house. He's done all this stuff, like, just like, you're making too much noise, you're disturbing the deer. Because he has this mama deer that he's just endeared to. Okay. And then lo and behold, a baby deer, and there's a whole storyline there, and a vet, and a wire fence, and all this, because the construction is causing too much disruption to nature, and this is Key West, so you want to preserve nature as much as possible. Yeah, because it'll be underwater. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I'm here for it, and I'm enjoying it, and it's been really good. So I'm really looking forward to the next episode, and I might even watch the first 2 over again, because I started watching it and I wasn't undivided attention, but I'm realizing I want to watch it with undivided attention. So I might watch a little bit of it over again. But there you go. Bad Monkey on Apple TV.
Yeah. And I like how you had to go through so much in order to get to the monkey.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're just like going and going and going. Like, why is it called Bad Monkey?
I was thinking, like, because I first, when I glanced at it, I thought it was Bad Money.
No,
I
Monkey.
It's Monkey, but then I was also thinking Monkey Man, which is another one I'm going to end up talking about later. But
but no, Bad Monkey for sure. So, all right, this is season 1 of that as well. So, all right, what you got next, sis?
I have a book that I read called "Don't Believe Everything Your Brain Thinks."
Oh, okay.
This is a really good book.
Sounds good.
It's a really good book.
Because the brain is it is a tricky thing.
Who are you telling? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with this book, it talks about a couple of different things. So there is author Joseph Nguyen, and he talks about it. He actually, when you get his book, he'll give you some information that you'll be able to go on different sites and actually get some assistance. But it talks about how when you go through life, everything that you're actually thinking is usually first negative, which usually is like, when you're going through life, you're like, once you start thinking something, you're automatically thinking negative.
Going to the negative.
Oh, man. Like, let's say that you pull up to Walmart and you're like, oh, it's so many people in here, it's going to be crowded. Mm-hmm. You're automatically thinking negative, but you don't realize how big Walmart is. Mm-hmm. So when you go in, you might be the only person down a few aisles.
Yeah, you're not,
because there might be people over in somewhere else. Yeah. So it's like when you're automatically thinking negative, then negative things will happen. Yes.
Or you can't even see the positive because you're already had in your mind negative. So when you go in and there's not that many people, it doesn't even register for you because you were already thinking something negative.
Exactly. So that with that thinking, then you'll overthink. So with that, it's the golden ticket. So like overthinking is like the thing that actually helps, that will actually hinders you from living your life.
Okay.
So if you can go through life without thinking, then without actually thinking about what you have to do.
Oh, okay. Because when you can't not think. Yeah,
well, when you think about like what you have to do, you're automatically like, oh God, I gotta do this. I gotta do that.
Yeah, but if you just take action and don't think.
Yeah, don't think.
I gotcha.
Act is the way that you know you should be going through the world. Yeah. And it also says that when you're living life, we're living a version of our reality.
Yes.
Not reality.
100%. Yep.
So therefore, If you are a pessimist person, then you're going to have pessimistic outcomes.
Yep.
If you're an optimist person, you have optimistic outcomes.
Yep.
So it's like the manifestation thing. So he goes into talking about how you'll be able to turn your brain off from thinking so much. So he's talking about how he's like, okay, think of how much money you would love to have, like, is your goal to have made per year.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll give you a second to think about that. And then it goes into, okay, so now multiply that by 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, so now what's happening? Your brain is thinking.
There's no way I'd ever
There's
be
no
able
way
to
I
make
could get
that
this.
money.
Blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah,
You're
blah,
automatically
blah, blah.
going
He's
negative.
like, so you're automatically thinking about something after I asked you to think about one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave you a whole situation, and now you're now thinking about something else and how negative that is.
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to, oh, you know what? Let's see how that works out.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Maybe I should
I can't.
try.
Yeah, but because if I say no, then that's gonna be no. But
Yeah.
if it's I actually could possibly do that. I see that happening. But I don't want to think about what's gonna make me go there, because then I'm gonna have anxiety. I'm gonna have stress. I'm gonna have all this and all that. No, I could just go through life.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, that actually stood out to me, to where how Buddhists are. Buddhists are, they are you do your meditations, and it's non-thinking. You're supposed to clear your brain.
Yep.
And my sister is my witness with that. I have the hardest time doing that. Remember when you and Mom did it?
Yeah, trying to meditate.
And I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't turn my brain off. And then what happens? Right after we were done, I was so upset with myself and had anxiety that I started tearing up and I started crying, because I'm like, I felt like something was wrong with me. But it's like when somebody says, look at me and don't blink. The first thing you want to do is blink.
It's like, oh, my eyes are so dry right now.
Yeah, exactly. Opposed to somebody saying, hey, I'm going to ask you a question, but like, don't think. It's like, wait, hold on, what? How do you? It's like, just give me your first answer. No, because I have to think about what my first answer is. No, it's just, red or blue. Just tell me one.
Yeah.
So that is a thing. And then another thing is, to where I can attest to myself, is overthinking is a thing that I do with my job. With me being the only female mechanic at my job, I overthink. Okay, am I doing as well as the other guys?
Yeah.
Am I holding up to the standards that they want? Blah, 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 blah. Not realizing and not noticing that the other guys jack cars up so much. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but it's fine. But they jack cars up so much that they have to come back and somebody else has to fix them. So now I'm holding myself to the standard of these other idiots that don't even know what they're doing.
So you shouldn't even be
So I
holding
shouldn't even
yourself.
be thinking about that.
Yeah, you should just be focused on
what I do.
Because your biggest competition is yourself.
Exactly.
That's your only competition is yourself. And so therefore you looking at somebody else and trying to live up to a standard of somebody else is not the reality. As you talked about reality, it needs to be the reality of who you are and what you can do is your performance.
Exactly. So also what Mr. Nguyen does is, when he goes through this, he talks about, okay, when you're doing something and your body's in autopilot and you're just doing it, he's like, you're not thinking. You're just doing it. If you have something that you have to research, that's when you think.
Yeah.
But then you're still finding more information.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the information that you need to find.
Yep.
Opposed to when you're not doing something, when there's something that you're doing that you don't know for sure how to do it, you're automatically going into like, oh my God, this is going to be how this is. And now let me see this. Oh, that's not the right answer. Oh, wait, is it the right answer? So if you go into it, all right, boom, I'm going to figure this out. Boom, we good.
Yep.
If you go into it like, oh, how am I going to find this stuff? And you're pessimistic, then that's what's going to end up happening. You're going to have anxiety, you're going to have stress, and then that's what's going to end up coming through your body, coming through your whole outcome of the vehicle or whatever it is that you're doing. And then you're going to end up messing up because you're overthinking stuff.
Right. When
it's something that you could possibly do in no time. If you just went ahead and did it and not paid attention and not overthought. Yeah, I guess what it is. And not overthinking to where it's like, oh, like I don't know if I've ever done this. Well, this doesn't even work out. So this doesn't work. And I found myself, after reading this book, where I was like, God, I can't figure out this one thing. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me get a second. I'll go outside. I'll hit my vape. I'll come back inside. I'm like, all right, start all over again. And I'll start right from the beginning. I won't go from where I was at. Erase the board, brand new.
Yeah.
like fresh slate. Let's go ahead and figure it out from there. So I was just going to say that this is a really good book. It is a very thin book. It's not that many pages. You can get it on Audible. It's like a 2-hour read, like a 2-hour listen. Joseph Nguyen.
Joseph Wynn or Win? Nguyen. Yeah, Nguyen.
Ian.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, but he talks about it. It's a very good book. I really enjoyed listening to it. It took me twice to listen to it to really understand.
Because you did it as an audiobook.
Yes, I did it as an audiobook. But it was like, well, it was the same price for the audiobook for me to read it. So I was like, well, actually, it was $2 less for me to get the audiobook than to read it. And with me having a job where I'm constantly using my hands, it's much easier for me to listen to an audiobook and stuff like that. That's why I listen to podcasts, audiobooks, and stuff like that throughout the day. Because then that way I can still do my job and still be able to listen to whatever's going on. But with this, it did, like I'm telling you, it definitely hit home. It definitely helped me out tremendously, and I do like it. So now I am working on not overthinking.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's very positive.
Yeah.
And it also is something that speaks to everyone because there isn't anyone who doesn't overthink about some area of their life. But because people don't talk about it, everybody thinks when it happens to them that they're the only one that it's happening to, and they're the only one that it happened. Because even with that scenario of us trying to meditate and you getting frustrated, I was like, but that's everybody. When anybody starts trying to meditate, you sit still and your brain is like, okay, I'm going to sit still and I'm just going to be breathing and focusing on my breath.
Yeah,
and then you say that. And then 2 seconds later, it is, okay, am I breathing too slow or am I breathing too fast?
Exactly. Yeah,
okay, let me slow down my breath a little bit.
But is this right? And now I feel like I'm gasping for air.
And it's like, okay,
it's hard for me to just... Have you ever thought about breathing and then tried to just breathe regular while you're thinking about breathing?
It doesn't
It is the hardest thing in the world.
Automatic.
So that tells me right there, if I can't breathe and think at the same time, then I need to reevaluate my life.
It just means that that's just a stipulation of what your brain can do.
Yeah.
And that's why I always tell people you can't let the negative self-talk stop you from doing things because the other part of everything, and I keep saying this over and over and over again, but everything you want to accomplish in your life is on the other side of fear or negative self-talk. That's very period. True. That's very true. Whatever you want. So every actor, every model, every comedian, every CEO. Do you think they went in day one and just said, I'm the best? Like, they could psych themselves up. They could be in the back and be like, you got this. You putting your hype music on like they do at the like the Olympics, and they got their headphones on and they're just trying to put themselves in the right zone. But everybody has that imposter syndrome. Everybody has that feeling of, am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I this? Am I that? People don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, that's true.
But that is something that happens. And so therefore, when it comes to meditation, if anybody who is listening this has ever said, I can't meditate, it's not something that works for me. Every single person in life has that same thought, but they push through it where you're just like, okay, I'm not meditating. I'm just thinking, I'm thinking of what I got to get at the grocery store. Oh, I got to make a list. Let me open my eyes real quick and I'm going to go write this down before I forget, because if I don't, okay, now let me get back centered, because I literally did a meditation course with a person who was literally in Utah with the person who was the spiritual advisor of the Beatles.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yes. So I did a course, not with the guy who was the spiritual advisor, but the guy who studied underneath him.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. Maharishi. Okay. So that. And so my guide, my transcendental meditation person did that. And we were in his home and we were studying, and he told us all those things. And he even had a flip chart. He's walking through, you're going to go through this, and then you're going to go through this, and then you're going to go through this.
But then he knew the steps, and then when you saw it, you
evaluated it, and you knew, where people who are just looking at a YouTube video trying to meditate, you don't know all those things. So anyway, so he just said, he gave us, each one of us, our own word that wasn't even a word that you focused on.
So onomatopoeia.
Yes, sure. So no, but I'm just saying he didn't say that.
Word.
But yeah, but it was like this thing that you just constantly say. So every time he said, every time your mind starts to steer, because again, it's going to happen, bring it back to this. Every time your mind starts to steer, bring it back to this, right? And so anyway, so that's kind of where I, started meditating. Now, mind you, when I take a break from it and I go back.
Oh, it's hard again.
It's hard again. Yeah. So I'm literally like listening to an audio because I have now, because of that experience, I have a way that I can tap into meditation any hour of the day.
Is that the one that you played with me and Mom?
No, it's a different thing. So anyway, but I can just play this thing, and the guy literally, he just starts off with a story, and he was like, "Okay, everybody get centered, and then we're gonna go ahead and start the exercise."
I need you to talk about this next
and then
podcast.
He's quiet. Okay. He's quiet, and then he's like, "Don't mind the time. I'll take care of that. You just focus on your meditation." And then 20 minutes later, he comes back with this little bell, and then that's it. So you have to focus. So I'm finding myself like, I'm here, I'm there. My brain's focused. Nope, it's not focused. Now I'm here. Oh, I got a thought about that. Yeah. And it is weird, the things that will download into your brain when you are trying to meditate. But at the same time, when you get in the zone, there is nothing like it. Okay. It is like this feeling that you are like riding on the spiritual highway. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like you just are like, "Oh, I feel so relaxed."
That sounds amazing. To not think the way that my brain works. The way that my brain works. Mm-hmm. To not think for even 2 minutes. Give me 30 seconds
of not thinking. Yeah.
When I go to sleep, my brain's still going.
Yeah. I get it.
Vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had 3 last night.
I am in the dream, and I'm like, I pinch myself, but am I pinching? I feel pain. So am I pinching myself while I'm awake?
In real life, or am I pinching myself in my dream?
Like, am I halfway asleep, halfway awake? In my dream, I'm pinching myself, but I'm actually doing it in reality. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's like that. But with that, when we were doing the meditation, where it was the now relax your fingers. I'm thinking to myself, how the hell I relax my fingers?
No, it just means, but what it means is that sometimes people hold tension, like they are holding their hands like in a fist. And it's like, no, just relax them. Just let them fall. Like, let them free fall.
But they say some weird stuff. It's like, feel your breathing.
I'm not supposed to hold
am I
my
supposed
chest?
to feel my rib cage move?
No, it means just be mindful of your breathing. It's like, but you're taking it too literal.
Yeah, it's like, okay, and feel your stomach. I haven't eaten and I'm not hungry, so I don't know what's. And then I'm constantly thinking of what is being said. I'm just like, that's not for me.
No, because, and I think maybe the quieter one is a better option, where it's just like, okay, all you need to do is focus either on your breathing or just pick a random word. Yeah. You can pick something like Om, because they always show that in a movie, right? With the knife or whatever it is, like Om. Yeah. So maybe it's just Om, and then it's Om, or it's Om, or what, hey, who, hey,
you remember that?
I do. And so, but it's like whatever it is that you focus on, and then when your mind starts to drift, just go, oh, okay, it's gone down that path. Okay, Om, just go back to the Om, just focus on the Om, and don't use it with the actual mouthing of it, the sound of it. Do it in your head. Yeah. That's the easiest way. I have found that if you do it outside, and I mean, you might have to start with saying it, and then it's like, okay, I'm getting used to it now, because once you start to feel like you're meditating, saying the Om is going to bring you out of it. So therefore, it's like, if you start with saying it and then you feel like, okay, I'm relaxed, I'm in this rhythm, let me stop saying it. Just stop saying it, and then just keep saying it in your head and going from there. But I've heard of people that you could say the building's on fire, alarms could be going off, the whole 9 yards, and they're just so in their zone.
I feel like I would fall asleep.
You can sometimes feel like you're in a point,
but it might be the best sleep of my life.
Yeah, but it can feel like you're falling asleep, but it's not. It does feel like when you wake up, you feel like you're waking up from a sleep. Okay. But it is not a sleep per se, as much as it is a deep meditative state that is so calming that it feels like you've been asleep. And then you you slowly have to open your eyes, you slowly have to come to again. But that's just how it works. So well, that's good. That's good.
I'll get there eventually. It only took me almost 40 years in order to be able to get to where I'm at. But you know what?
Well, but who was trying to meditate as a child? So
I mean, but
there's
not even the child. But I'm just saying, like in general, I think that it's actually taken me some time to actually be okay with myself.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a very hard thing to do. I'm still working on being alone with my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Silence, it's not my friend.
Yeah, it's
But
not a lot of people's
I'm
friends.
still working on it.
Yep. So that's a good thing. Positive vibes
Absolutely.
only. So
Absolutely.
there we go. Well, all right, everybody. Well, that's this week's episode of Sestra-Tainment. Have an amazing week. We'll do it all again next time. Bye.